From censored files to clear evidence, this is Redacted Realms.
South Korea is known for its wealth, but also has this. In 2016, a horse-riding man made the name Gangnam known worldwide. And the Gangnam district also became a familiar symbol of the super rich in South Korea. This is the third largest district in Seoul, with over 560,000 residents, concentrating many high-end skyscrapers. The luxurious villa area is always bustling, but hidden beneath those premium buildings. Just a 20-minute walk from the wealthy neighborhood is the largest slum in Seoul and all of South Korea. It is home to poor families, living in semi-basement houses. All homes in Goryeo are makeshift structures with heights only reaching head level. Due to the damp environment and abundant waste, the area is very unpleasant. The residents are mainly elderly people without stable jobs. They rely on a government subsidy of 200,000 won per month, equivalent to 35 million Vietnamese dong. This is a very low amount, only enough to maintain the most basic life. When sharing with the media, the elderly always express admiration, and even envy for the people living in the wealthy area right next door. They wish their descendants could live in such large houses, but the dream of changing their lives is hard to realize in South Korea. So why does a developed country have such disparities in living standards? Let's explore with D2T right after this. Statistics show that income inequality in South Korea is increasing the fastest in the OECD. According to March 2023 data, the top 1% of South Koreans by income account for 11.7% of total income, up 3.3 points since 2007. This is the second largest increase among the 30 OECD member countries, only after Mexico. In 2019, the average financial gap between wealthy and poor youth was 776 million won, equivalent to 15 billion Vietnamese dong. In 2020, this number increased to 846 million won, equivalent to 16 billion Vietnamese dong. The question is, why is there such a huge gap? Let's go back to 1997 to see what happened. A year after joining the OECD, South Korea experienced a financial crisis, starting with the won plummeting against the US dollar. The South Korean government sought help from the IMF, with conditions requiring economic reforms, including restructuring huge family conglomerates. This reform wiped out nearly half of the top 50 conglomerates when the reform demands were made. The IMF wanted to dismantle the economic system tied to quasi capitalism. However, these reforms formed shock therapy, with market liberalization and labor deregulation measures applied en masse. But without considering social issues related to income distribution. Conglomerates were immediately restructured, accompanied by millions of layoffs to downsize. Older workers and women were the main groups laid off, to reduce senior labor and payroll funds, and companies also preferred Vietnamese labor. Another consequence of restructuring was that the private and public sectors stopped hiring more people, leading to a large number of young people, including graduates, unable to find jobs. They are young people who invested a lot of money and effort into their studies but still couldn't get jobs. Next came the emergence of precarious companies. Instead of hiring permanent workers, they started hiring hourly, part-time workers to cut wages, while avoiding paying unemployment insurance and other benefits to workers. A decade after the 1997 financial crisis, South Korea faced a much more devastating storm. The 2008 financial crisis worsened the already affected labor market situation. The number of temporary and part-time workers surged, while their income was only 1/3 to 1/4 that of regular workers. At the same time, a high-income group also saw notable changes. Conglomerates after the restructuring process expanded to compete in the global market. Jobs requiring experience and knowledge in various fields targeting international markets. Naturally, they will receive higher salaries. The gap between large and small businesses became a new aspect of increasing inequality. Before 1997, wages between large and small companies didn't differ much. But after 1998, this gap grew larger. The wage gap is just a minor issue for conglomerates. But that doesn't mean they will be generous. By saving labor through automation, digitization, and administrative tasks, these corporations are growing increasingly powerful, overshadowing the development of small without creating jobs. 2019 data shows that 64 family-owned conglomerates accounted for up to 84% of South Korea's GDP, but only accounted for 10% of employment. Along with economic changes, South Korean society has also undergone major upheaval. Since the mid-1990s, South Korea has joined a group of societies with the world's lowest birth rates, accelerating the population aging process. 43.4% of elderly people here live in poverty, the highest among OECD member countries. The average for the entire bloc is only about 13.1%. Data from the Statistics Agency shows many elderly people continue working after retirement to escape poverty. In 2020, according to survey results, 67% of elderly people wanted to continue working until age 73. But it's very difficult for them to maintain or find other jobs. South Korea's population is aging very rapidly, yet the social security system ensuring elderly life is uncertain. So they increasingly desire to work more. One reason for the high employment rate among the elderly is that they are forced into early retirement. Workers receive pensions and benefits much lower than regulations. It's not enough for them to cover living expenses and social security, so they have no choice but to continue working. Besides low income, temporary jobs also don't come with any benefits, which is why many elderly people compete for low-level occupations they never thought of before retirement, such as courier services, security guards, and janitorial work. More extreme are those at rare ages, still practicing prostitution to earn a living and cover medical expenses. Others don't want to become burdens to their children and grandchildren, so they choose to end their lives. In 2020, the rate of people over 80 choosing this method in South Korea was 62.6 per 100,000 cases, and is the ultimate reason reflecting the biggest problem this country faces, which is, at the end of September 2021, all of South Korea was shocked by the news of a powerful politician's son, following the development project scandal in Fuan. What angered the public wasn't the retirement of this privileged son. 5 billion won equivalent to $96.2 billion after 3 years increased to 64 billion, then 74 billion. As a result, that salary level was nothing special. Things only became unusual when he suddenly got his contract transferred to a 500 million won salary, pushing his severance payout to 5. The person who recommended him was none other than his father, and an October 2021 survey showed 53% of people aged 18 to 34 in Seoul can only buy a house with family support. The remaining 44% shows Korean youth are heavily dependent on parents. 15% have given up their dream of buying their own home, mostly because parents don't have it. According to estimates, this figure is about 10.9% in South Korea. 74% of billionaires are a country where you. This is also why it has the second highest inheritance tax in the OECD, second only to Japan. Inheritance tax in South Korea reaches 50%, and can particularly go up to 65%. However, the upper class always avoids it by transferring assets and real estate to children through sales contracts. Compared to previous incidents, South Korea conducted an unprecedented large-scale investigation. They targeted 446 subjects aged 30 and above suspected of financial fraud and tax evasion by purchasing family real estate using their parents' money. But with the power of corporations today, can South Korea end the era of inequality in this country? If you're someone who likes traveling to South Korea, what do you think about this expensive cost of living, and do you know about other competitions here? Please comment below to let us know. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Redacted Realms channel to follow our latest updates. Goodbye and see you again. Subscribe to Gian Migo channel so you don't miss exciting videos.
If this file opened your eyes, subscribe and open the next case.